Hey everyone, it's Hero Forever, and today we're playing a little bit of Automation and BeamNG. I never played this on my channel before, so I'm just giving it a shot. I've been playing it a lot the last couple years, and this channel has been inactive until now. So today we're going to be building a race car. The only main requirement is that it has to be no more than 100 horsepower. That seems pretty standard. There are a couple other small ones too that I want to keep within the limits of, one being somewhat realistic. I know that's subjective, but would it be a real car? Is that something I could drive in real life? The second one, this kind of goes in part with being realistic, is reliability. Would it break down really quick? And the fourth thing, and this is just a personal thing, I don't like putting my quality above 5, so I'd like to do that. I know other YouTubers do similar things that record automation videos, and I love that they do it, so I'm going to kind of follow in those footsteps. It's just a personal preference, because I still like to have a little bit of challenge when I build. I think I found it, 2005 coupe, and I wish I knew what this car was based off of. It looks similar to a Camaro with the back and up here, but it also has resemblances of Audi / BMW. Yeah, it looks like a BMW with the front end and up here, but that also kind of looks like a Camaro back here. Now that I think of it, it has a similar area that Ford Fusions have. Since we're making the car realistic, I'm not going to do something like carbon fiber, but I also don't want to do steel because that weighs way too much. What about something a little bit in between, either a partial aluminum or just all aluminum? I think all aluminum's relatively realistic for what we're doing. In terms of frame, I don't need it to be like a truck frame on this thing or anything too big against twisting forces or weight. Therefore, I'm just going to go with a unibody. I like the idea of taking the aluminum approach towards this vehicle, and I haven't seen ever before yet a glued aluminum option, and obviously it's super light compared to all the other ones besides carbon fiber, yet I'm sure the price difference is huge. I'm trying to look at it right now. Yeah, it's a huge material cost saver. So therefore I would call this relatively realistic of a design. Engine placement, we're not doing anything crazy with the engine. We're probably just going to do an inline 4, therefore I'm going to do transverse. As many cars now use double wishbone suspension nowadays, I'm also a fan of it. I was thinking double wishbone in the back as well. However, I think I'm going to go with multi-link on this one just because I don't use it as much. I usually like doing double wishbone, or double wishbone push rod. That's just my thing. Sometimes if I'm doing older style vehicles, I'll do solid axle coil or solid axle leaf more commonly for both. I don't know what to call this yet. We're just going to call it the Sporty Hero. That sounds good for now. As I said, I'm thinking doing an inline 4. Cast iron we'll keep at now. Maybe we'll do aluminum light. Let's just keep this entire thing on aluminum light. Everything aluminum. This is a sports car, so I'm fine with it revving higher. Therefore, I'm also fine with having it be a little bit bigger of an engine since we aren't going to run into many issues with how it's going to fit in the engine bay. And I don't know what we should be aiming for, really. I mean, we're going to throw a turbocharger on it, obviously. But maybe like a 1.2 displacement. I think that's actually what we're going to be wanting for something like this, if I can get it narrowed in. 1.2 liter engine should be fine. And then I'm kind of crazy about getting it right on, so then I mess with both of them until I get it perfect. Yeah, this is starting to look like the Chevy Cruze engine. Mine's a 1.4, but this still works too. I'm a fan of dual overhead cam. Obviously, it's more maintenance, more parts. Things can go wrong. However, it's not overdoing it too much. I don't want to overdo any of this. I'm going to keep it at 4 valves. That seems pretty standard, especially nowadays. And, yeah, push rod's just not even in the question. So some sort of overhead cam. Head material? Aluminum. Sure, why not? I know people probably are going to disagree with me on the head type for doing aluminum, but it's still relatively realistic, I feel like, so we'll keep it. Plus, it's lighter weight. These actually say it's similar engineering time. However, I know forged steel light would be a better and more realistic option than these other ones that might take longer to produce in real life. Another reason I'm choosing to do forged steel light is because it can take more RPMs, and we are going to be revving a little bit high with this, I believe. For our conrods, I'm just thinking cast light. With the pistons, I'm just going to do a normal cast. Cast light has a little bit less ability for handling torque. Therefore, that's going to be what we do. Harmonic damper, we'll just do a little bit. The only thing this really does that I've noticed in the game is make a slight difference in horsepower, but mainly just affect the reliability status of your engine, and usually adding these in I've found has helped. Therefore, we're going to add it. For our compression ratio, 9.6 to 1 is a little bit low. I'm going to probably boost it up to like 12 and we can go from there. Lower it if we need to, but hopefully raise it a little bit. Cam profile, springs, and lifters are going to be the same. No VVT right now, however, we'll probably lift it. Or I mean, we'll probably use it and then we'll add variable valve lift too if we need. Rev limit, let's keep it around 7,000. Yes, it's going to rev high, but we'll start with 7,000 and see if we should increase it from there. Because we are having to keep it under 100 horsepower. Ideally right at, and I think I'm going to get it to that point. Direct injection, that's pretty standard nowadays. Per cylinder. And although it is a sporty car, it's not necessarily a race car. So we're just going to do performance mid. Sure, that looks good. This actually looks a little bit overkill, so just for visuals, I'll do standard for now. Manifold size, the fuel required, not going to mess with any of this stuff until we go into tuning. For the headers, I would like to do cast mid, however, there's so much more airflow you get with the tubular mid. Also, it looks a lot nicer, it doesn't look as cheap, and we aren't necessarily going for a cheap vehicle, we're just going for a relatively realistic vehicle. So maybe if this was on the market in real life, we'd be looking around like a I don't know, $50,000 or $60,000 range MSRP. Exhaust size, this thing's a baby. I think it can stay at 2. We'll probably raise it up to 3, somewhere in between then. Catalytic converter, it's a sports car, and I'm sure somehow the EPA would go after me even though this is just a game if I didn't put one in. So we'll put in a 2-way catalytic converter. And no, I did not say Cadillac. Muffler, I don't really care about. However, I'll just do a baffled. Actually, we're not going to do 2 mufflers. And right here, without doing a turbo, we actually get 96 horsepower right away. That's quite good, 52 pounds-feet of torque. However, I would like to raise that a little bit because I don't think that's going to be enough to get us off the start line too well. Since this engine is almost producing 100 horsepower as is, and everything is very, very reliable within this engine, I'm just going to take off the balancing mass because that makes it a little bit lighter. This is now the time I think we can try adding in a turbocharger, and that puts us right up to 90. This is what I managed to come up with. We're going to get the compressor hot, but not to the point where it'll ruin reliability, at least any more than modern cars do. Okay, so this isn't my proudest engine build. However, the fact that I got it up to 117 foot-pounds of torque and 100 horsepower without going over is actually pretty impressive for myself. So I'm just going to leave it how it is. And since this thing doesn't have any further beauty covers or anything like that, that's why I'm choosing to make the valve cover a little bit different. Anyways, on to the next part. I think this is where we can go and test our engine. And, oh boy, all that popping. I should probably fix that. Okay, that's really loud. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so much for the muffler. Let's go and throw this in the car and see what else we can do. Okay, I want to make it something that I'll like, but I also want it to be something you guys will click on, as in the thumbnail, so I'm going to have to take a minute and think about this one. I know this is a little bit simple, but this might actually work if I do some good secondary colors and I add on some nice rims and I mess with the body shape a little bit. This might actually work. This is starting to look a little bit more sporty. I feel like the more white it is, the more cheap it looks. And the more black it looks, the more like fast it looks. I don't mean that in a racist way, by the way, so please don't report me. I think something in the middle would be good. Yeah. Okay, so with the flakes all the way up, it actually has kind of like a matte finish from far away. That's not what we're going for, though. Windows, that's going to be something we can change right now, actually. If we go over to, I think it's body? Window transparency, yes. So I believe this is in percentage form, so window tint in real life, you might see like a 50, a 30. People with really dark window tint generally have the 5% window tint. This is a 10 currently, so this is pretty realistic to what a 10% window tint would look like in real life. But I want to turn that down to 5%, so we're going to do 0.05. And this is what I run in my real life car. I like it. Anything darker would probably look good, but I also want it to be realistic. It's hard to get under 5% window tint most places, so unless you double layer it. And No one's going to pay double the price for window tint on a car that's under $100,000 unless you really, really love your vehicle. And in that case, they probably do make special window tint that's even lower than 5% anyways. Window trim, maybe that could incorporate some blue. Okay, this is actually kind of cool. Kind of cool, I think. It kind of gives me like a Bugatti type look. So we're going to do sports because we have a sport vehicle. This is going to take a second. I like how this gives like the hubcap area a little bit more of a dimension rather than the other ones what they provide. Since this is a sporty car, I'm not going to do front wheel drive. Front wheel drive is generally cheaper and more of the like economical thing to do, I guess, for companies. However, I want to do all-wheel drive on demand. I want to make it mostly a power split between the rear, but also have a little bit of help in the front if need be. I'm going to go with advanced automatic. It's a little bit quicker to shifting gears. Medium seems to be pretty good. I want it to be a low profile tire. I don't like those in real life very much. In terms of tire diameter, we're going to keep it the same in the front and back. We just want enough so that we're able to turn the wheel without it colliding into like the fender or the hood, which sometimes happens in this game if you aren't careful with the suspension and the tire diameters. The rim diameters we're going to make, I'd like to have them be 20s or 21s, but I don't know if that'll be too much. 21s look like it might be a little bit much. I guess we could do 22s too. If we boost it up to 23 and then we go down to 21, suddenly this starts looking super normal. But we're going to keep it at a 20. For brakes, I like to do disc brakes. I'm going to do vented since this is going to be going a little bit faster. It's going to have more braking to it and it needs to stop fast too. So I'm going to be putting a lot of brake force on it. And I'm probably going to do 4, but I might go to 6 pistons. I could probably get away with anything bigger than 12-inch, but I want it to be more of a visual thing. So, because I know that would look good, but I also don't want the whole background to just be a rotor. So why don't we do, like I said, 12's good, but I still think it's a little bit small. It's starting to look a little bit like a Prius. I'm actually not sure if they use these types of brakes, but probably does. And if it doesn't, then probably a Mini. Let's put this up to 13, maybe 14. We're just going to do the same thing in the back, even though it really doesn't need as much brakes in the back. Because, you know, cars generally do most of the braking force in the front. There's no reason to put in a race diffuser for this. All it's going to do is cause more aerodynamic drag, which we really don't need when we already have an underpowered car. Convertible type, no. And we're going to get rid of all of the back seats because we don't need that for a sporty car. Although I'd love to make the interior basic or standard, premium or sport, I think we're going to go into race because just like any modern day sports car, they're going to cheap out on everything, or at least a lot of things, but they're going to make sure that they give you that good interior. That way you have a little bit better of a user experience and you feel like you're driving a little bit faster than you really are. Not to mention it does cut down on weight, where in other places of the car where they cut down weight, it's very expensive. For example, the engine, transmission, etc. Let's do electric variable steering. I like that. Launch control and electronic stability control. It took me a second to remember what that stood for, to be honest. I don't think we need either of these, but what we will do is traction control and ABS. Standard 10s will work. We're going to keep the weight how it is. Weight distribution's definitely going to change. Active Sport will likely be the best option for us. And if you disagree with me on any of these things towards making the car drive better, then let me know in the comments down below anything you would do different. For dampers, I'm not really sure. Semi-active would probably be good. We'll go with that. I realized by looking at the graph I'm having a little bit of issues with my shifting. Therefore, it would be a little bit better to do a dual clutch system. And now I'm just going to change the amount of gears and see how that affects everything. 8.5 versus 8. I messed with the gearing a little bit more and I was able to get us down to 8.3 seconds 0 to 60. That is honestly still really bad, but for a sports car, I don't think it all comes down to speed. I think it also comes down to how it handles, so if we can compensate with that, we'll be good. The main issue I made with this car is picking out the body style I did, but I'm not going back now, and we're going to deal with it. We're just going to do some black wheels. This is a really dark car. I think the spoiler will look nice. I think we can do something with the hood, maybe even make it a different color than the rest. Generally, I don't like doing that. Alright, after taking a half-decent car, making it look like shit, and then throwing in a inline 4, I think we are officially ready to drive this thing. This is actually quite crazy. A 1.2 liter inline 4 turbocharged, because it has to be, basically, car that is supposed to be a race car, have some sporty attributes to it, and just overall be a half-decent car to get around. A little bit scared to actually try making it move, because I feel like it's just going to take a year. At least till the end of the time I get down there to get to 60. Okay, it's not bad. No, I actually kind of like it. It's quiet. It has a weird shifting noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But I mean, yeah, it's not a sporty car. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. It looks really sporty. But for 100 horsepower, the fact that it can get up to 100 miles an hour, I think is pretty impressive. I don't know what that is in kilometers, like 150, 160. I think it's something like that. Probably more. I don't know. Yeah, that shifting noise is so weird. I feel like you guys have to listen to that. I'm gonna try and be quiet. Maybe you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear that? It's making like a weird click noise. I know there's an instrument that sounds like this, but I don't know which one. And although this thing might not be winning any races, for 100 horsepower, I don't think you're going to do much better than this. Unless, obviously, you make the body style a lot smaller and lighter by making it out of like carbon fiber and boosting all of your quality settings up, and maybe you give more boost to your turbocharger. I mean, if you did different things, then you could make this a lot faster and, you know, a lot more practical. But for what it is, I feel like this is a good in between. This car isn't meant to be off-road, but I just want to test it out to see how good it can do. I really don't see it getting through this course. If it does, sweet. Maybe it's a better off-roader than it is even a sports car. But I guess we'll see going down here, because this one's a little bit deeper. No, it seems like it can handle it. The ground clearance is pretty good. Like I said, I wanted to lower that earlier, especially for handling reasons. But it actually handles all of that. Well, I was going to say well. Maybe like overall, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10 for its off-road abilities. It's definitely not good, but it can get over these basic humps, which a lot of my other cars that I build can't. So I would say this is pretty good. Let's see what it can do up here. I think these are supposed to be like little incline stairs or something. I don't know. Suspension's pretty good. It's not too stiff. I mean, this is a pretty smooth ride right here. I don't think there's too much complaining with it, especially considering it's supposed to be a sportier car that rides closer to the ground. I know it won't make it up, so I'm going to give it a little bit more of a boost. Yeah, this is not making it. Alright, third race. I had a good launch, but he has a lot more power than me. If I had to guess, 200 to 300 as a minimum. I'm going to try passing him right in this beginning. We touched. Maybe that wasn't the cleanest of racing, but if you've ever played this game, you know how bad the AIs can be. They don't give a shit. They will spin you out just for the hell of it and ram you. So I'm not worried about it, because either way, he has a faster car. I know he can catch up, and it really just comes down to how good I can take these corners, because I know he doesn't have what it takes. Yeah. As I say that. Oh! Shit, dude. Shit. What is he doing? I know I purposely kind of got in his way. So maybe that's my bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him a little bit too much credit. He got in my way. He knew I was going there. Ow! Shit. I just want this race to be over. He's such a dick. Stop. This is what I was talking about. Like how they have like no remorse. I wish I had a picture of like the map on the screen, by the way. Because I could be coming up to a really tight turn and I would have no idea. Okay, let's take advantage of this the best we can. Off the track a little. Never hurt anyone. That's probably not good to say. Oh boy. Wait, what? What? What's he doing? Okay, was that on me or him? I guess he's like, I give up. Alright. Well, I think that's going to call it for today. I think it's clear that obviously I have the better car for handling. And obviously, if you have a faster car, you're most likely to win. Unless you have really bad handling. And that's just how it's going to be. For a sports car, track use, I would rate this probably 8 out of 10. No, 7 out of 10. It's not fast, but for 100 horsepower, I think it's pretty fast. For what it is, anyways. It takes turns really well. Probably better than a lot of my other cars, actually. So I can't complain. I mean, the brakes are phenomenal. So, I think a solid 7.5 out of 10 is what it is. Obviously, I could do a lot better, and I don't want to even compare my other cars to how this goes, because 2 minutes and 40 seconds is terrible for this track. However, it's still almost 10 seconds faster than the last lap I did, where I beat him. If there's any other game you want me to play or anything different you want me to do on Automation, let me know in the comments. I'll surely look at them. And also, I know it's been a while, probably a couple years since I last posted on this channel, but I do plan to post more now. I just had a lot going on. I'm not going into personal stuff on here. I hope I didn't make any of you mad with anything I said. And if I did, then don't subscribe. Anyway, see y'all.